Hello doctors, welcome back to Jab Studies Made Fun for a very important question, that is how, when and why to give a grand test. This is going to be related to both FMG as well as NEET PG students. So I hope you have a useful topic in this next 5 minutes. So let's start. First of all, why to give a grand test? Number one reason why you have to give a grand test is to know the time management skill. Now, it doesn't matter if you're so good and thorough in all the 19 subjects, on the D day, if you're not able to manage time and skip a few questions, that is realistically not a good situation. So that is why, so that you'll be able to manage time, where you'll be able to tackle very tricky questions which take a bit more time, so that you get used to that pressure, and so that in this grand test you can take that time and then you get habituated to how to solve these questions. That is why a main reason to give a grand test is time management. Next is to get used to the sitting hours. Now, for example, in NEET PG you have 210 minutes in total, while on the other hand in FMG 5 hours, 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours. So that it's a long sitting hours. And with the recent trend, you know that there are multiple techniques to study in which you short duration, then a break, short duration, like the Pomodoro technique. Some people have different ways of studying, and because of which the study process is good, but then the sitting process is very bad. So that to make you habituated to have the sitting a habit, so that you will not get stressed during the actual time, because there will be a combination of multiple stresses at that exam, and to get used to that, another reason why grand test is important. Then the most important thing is to understand the weak subjects. Now what people do is, the big mistake is they think that the grand test is a rank decider. No, the grand test is not a rank decider. The grand test is for these three reasons, so that you'll be able to manage time, you'll be able to get used to the sitting hours, and the most important thing is to understand what are your weak subjects. So that, good thing, for example, if you got a low score but now you know, okay, in this subject I am weak, it's a good thing, so that now you can focus better on it. So please remember, whenever you think about grand test, don't think about the fears like, oh, my rank is going to be poor, my friend is going to ask, and hell with them. Simple and easy solution. These are the three reasons. This grand test is not to scare you. Grand tests are given so that you improve your actual score. If I talk to you about when should you give ideally a grand test, right now, if example you are preparing for an exam and you already are planning to have a study plan, first thing first, give one grand test as soon as possible. The reason why is, now you'll be like, I have not done anything, or maybe I have prepared maybe only 1 or 2 subjects. It is just to give you a scenario setting ki how the actual exam is, so that now you know what the real exam and the real pressure is. First thing. Second thing is, so it tells you where do you actually stand with respect to the crowd, how much do you have to work for. Now, if you have 6 months or so for an exam, basically for the first 4 months, ideally one grand test per month is more than sufficient. Ideally one grand test is more than enough for the first 4 months, and the next 2 months you can go for 15 days, one grand test. 15 days, one grand test. You can go with that, okay? But like, to be honest, at least 4-5 months you give it, you get habituated to the sitting habit, time management. Along with that, you understand of which are your weak subjects. Ideal grand test which will be there is a marrow mock, and the reason why I'm saying this, because I've given multiple mock exams as well, the grand test ones, and where I feel marrow ones, the levels are comparatively higher. People do complain that, yeah, I don't want to give marrow grand test just because it is comparatively higher and tougher. Understand one thing, agar abhi band bajegi to badhiya hai. What I'm trying to say is, if now you get a stuck up result, if you now you get depressed, is much more better than getting a depressed or a bad result in the actual examination. Give a tougher one now. Plan to climb the mountain, you'll climb the hill easily. I hope you understand that. Next, how do you use grand test? First of all, use the bookmark. In any app or whenever you use, bookmark is a common feature over there. What do you have to bookmark is the questions which are tricky questions, which means is, now see, for one question ideally you need to solve it within 1 minute, and for a better time management within 40 seconds. For some questions which it takes you more than 1 minute, maybe 1.5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes, those questions you have to bookmark. Why? Because there in that question maybe your concept is a bit weak, or second thing is you're not able to remember the volatile points. So make sure you mark the tricky questions. Second, obviously the wrong questions, so that you review it well. And then the guessed answers. Even though you will have a false positive type thing, oh, guessed answer tukka sahi lag gaya. No, those questions also you have to review. Those questions also you have to bookmark. Now what you have to do is this: when you see the review, you will see the explanation part. There will be 2 type of explanations. One is going to be the bold letter ones, and one which are the normal ones. Make sure you know the bold ones very thoroughly. Next, what to review? Again the same thing: tricky questions, wrong questions, and the guessed questions. And again, what you have to read the explanation, again the same thing. tricky questions, wrong questions, and the guessed questions. I know it is like, why are you repeating the same thing? But the more you understand this is how you actually solve a grand test, the easier it is. Some people, what they do, they will give 200 or 300 questions and they'll start reviewing everything. If you start reviewing everything, if you have maybe 1 year or maybe, okay, that makes sense, you want to do everything well. But if you start reviewing 300 everything, you will get exhausted in the middle and you will be like, chhod yaar, nahi karna, I don't want to do it. So make sure you don't do that mistake. Make sure at least these 3 things you do it very well. Now, once you find out what are the tricky, wrong and guessed questions, make sure you write down all the topics which you made the mistake and make a list about it. So then now you know that these are the topics which I have to focus very well. So these are the revision skills. Now, for example, you have reviewed a grand test on 1st of November. When do you review this again? Now, after 3 weeks, what you have to review is these things which you did, the tricky, wrong and guessed. After this, you will understand which questions now you completely know, and you are like, okay, now this I can never get wrong. Start removing the bookmark marks. So if you had 100, slowly with the time of the actual examination, these bookmarks will keep on reducing. I hope you understood that. Next, I want you to know a few points. Make sure you stimulate the actual exam setting, which means make sure that there is no friends around, you have a proper study table, okay, and you have no distractions. Phone should be on D&D, phone should not be around, there should be no one talking to you during the actual examination. Make sure you sleep well before the grand test. It's not to be a random exam or something like this. Make sure you give as much a stimulation of the actual exam as well. Okay? Once you give the exam, make sure that you are mentally prepared. Even though there are tricky questions, no, doesn't matter, you have to solve it well. Write down all the topics which you make a mistake and make sure you have a proper blueprint for that. I'll send you this PDF in my Telegram group. If you enjoyed this lesson, I hope you learned a lot from this topic. If you have any other doubts, feel free to text me on my Telegram page and I'm more than happy to help. Take care. See you on the next side.